H. Office of Safe and Drug-Free Schools. Disbanded. There is no need for a federal office to conduct duties that should be performed at a local level by local authorities. I. Post-secondary education. Disbanded. There is no need to give grants when education is free. There is especially no need to send taxpayer money out of the country or to give grants that favor one and not another. All practices of this department. All of these monies shall be relocated to free education. J. Special education and rehabilitative services. Disbanded. Unfortunately, as cruel as some may see it, iniquity begins when assistance is given to one and not another. Special aid is the concern of the family, not the society. Disabled individuals are looked to as wholly equal and welcome to take part in all popular services and are expected to achieve the same high standards as all others. K. Vocational and adult education. Disbanded. Most of what this office does is redundancy of the other offices, coupled with much wheel spinning on taxpayer dollars with no remarkable results. LAFKI immediately implements programs to assist all freely and efficiently, not just adults and not just in certain conditions. L. Office of Elementary and Secondary Education. Assimilated into LAFKI. M. Office of the Chief Financial Officer. Assimilated. There are no grants given for education as it is all free in the individualistic society, unless one chooses private education, which one must fund oneself. This allows this department to be downsized to focus only on the projects of LAFKI ordered by the people. N. Office of Chief Information Officer. Assimilated. This office will be very important to ensuring the free education of all, if not in a college, within their homes. It will strive to have better teaching techniques than the best schools, allowing the rapid assimilation of the most complex knowledge in the shortest amount of time at the youngest possible age. Such are the high standards of the individualists. C. Other departments assimilated. 1. The SBA. Disbanded. There will be no monetary assistance offered to anyone for any reason, as such help is a crutch that generates weakness as well as a guise for corruption. Individualism does not only condone handouts to giant corporate conglomerates, but to anyone in any form. In the guise of helping small or minority businesses, the SBA allots cash to all government personal interests. It has no definition of small and has even considered the American Motor Corporation as a small business. It was intimately involved in the Whitewater and WedTech scandals, and major defense contractors like Northrop Grumman and General Dynamics were given money as small businesses. In fact, rarely does this office help small companies. It is mostly involved with medium-sized companies, but has many huge companies it considers small, so that it can grant loans, backed by the people's money, to the private corporate interests of the perverted American government representatives. 2. DOL. The following three departments are assimilated from the Department of Labor, which mostly became absorbed by the HVR. A. Veterans Employment and Training Services. Assimilated into LAFKI, unrestricted education is given freely to all in the individualistic society, whether a veteran or not. B. Employment and Training Administration. Assimilated into LAFKI, unrestricted education is given free to all in the individualistic society, thus this type of knowledge would be readily available. C. Bureau of Labor Statistics. Assimilated, reduced to freely accessible information at LAFKI collected by the GEP. 3. Postal Service. Assimilated into LAFKI, left unchanged. 4. Miscellaneous. A. Consumer Product Safety Commission. Assimilated, dissolved to information and rules accessible at LAFKI. B. Federal Citizen Information Center. Assimilated, dissolved to information accessible at LAFKI. D. Immediate LAFKI reforms. 1. Schools. Ignorance creates poverty, which then creates ignorance, and repeats the cycle. Dependence is directly proportionate to this ignorance, and slavery is directly proportional to the resulting dependence. The simple fact that people do not know self-sustenance causes their dependence upon the machine, which demands them to work, expending all of their time, leaving little or none for the acquisition of knowledge. With less knowledge, they therefore earn less money. Thus impoverished, the condition then worsens because the children of such homes, 1. Are raised by parents who are working most of the time, thus not passing on their knowledge, leaving the children more ignorant than the parents, and 2. Cannot afford to go to college, thus continue in ignorance and raise more children, again with deeper ignorance, compounding the situation. Even some who achieve college are often no better off, as many private colleges are producing workers for the machine as opposed to free thinkers. No matter how free they believe that they think, their minds remain confined by parameters taught to them which they accept as fact without proper research. Let it be known that the individualist has sympathy for his fellow brother of the old world. It is not his fault he is ignorant, for he was born into the trap. In his schools he was taught nothing useful but to be a passive slave relying on the system for sustenance. His potential for noble deeds and ambition for evolution and higher purpose was snuffed out in the monotonous repetition of meaningless mundane tasks which only served to maintain the machine and weaken and corrupt the human spirit. In stark contrast, the school of the individualists creates powerful, enlightened freemen. As knowledge is the cornerstone to individualistic success, the school is the foundation for that stone. Knowledge is useless unless properly conveyed. The very first, most important, and constant teaching of the individualists from grades K through 13 is the teaching to the students that they are infinite, limitless spirits, come to this earth to perfect themselves in mind, body, and spirit, and are not fragile, limited human beings, which was the weak concept in which the old world used to imprison the children of God. This is not a religious teaching, as any religion can be laid over its foundation. It is a philosophical teaching which adds courage and force to each individual. This very same concept will change the way parents and teachers look at children, and consequently alter their teaching methods. Presently, parents and teachers look at children as if they are incompetent, when in fact they are ancient spirits. Thus, they present teachings to them in a very slow manner, so that the children can grasp it and wonder why attention deficit disorder exists. This lack of understanding of a child being a vast soul capable of feats of genius and therefore taught and spoken to as an inferior being wrongly convinces that soul that it is a weak and fragile mortal thing, as opposed to an indestructible spirit sparked from the genius of God, thereby crippling its confidence. Therefore, the individualists supply rapid and complex teachings at the earliest of ages, successfully rearing a society of prodigies. As such, the individualistic school year is continual, proceeding all summer long, yet the length of each grade is dropped to 173 days. Within this year are 4 one-week breaks, one beginning each season. Thus, in 12 years, with the traditional 3-month vacation and 180-day school year, a student receives approximately 5.9 continuous years of training. With the individualist method, in 12 years, a student receives 230 school days per year, or 7.6 full years of training. See the breakdown shown on the screen. This amounts to an additional 3.3 traditional 180-day school years completed by the same age. This allows for the introduction of a 13th grade and 2 years of mandatory militia instruction to be achieved in 3 months less time than the mere 12 grades of the outdated schooling methods. In the final year of the 2-year mandatory militia service, the student is a paid member of society in a chosen, temporary and practice, social service. See page 132. Not only do the students receive more time learning, but also the intensity of that learning is twice that of the traditional methods, amounting to relatively 16.4 years of continuous learning, creating individuals 2.8 times as adept as the traditionally taught students in less time. More sophisticated subjects will be administered at much earlier times than present schools. For example, 3 languages shall begin to be taught in the 1st grade, when the brain is best suited to learn language, and continue to the 7th grade, as opposed to modern methods which wait to teach languages well after the optimum period has elapsed. All individualistic learning shall be taught utilizing techniques that stimulate both the right and left brain simultaneously to facilitate rapid information absorption by the students. At 7th grade, the student begins a Populus class, which continues up to the 13th grade. In addition to traditional classes, it teaches individualistic philosophy, simplicity, law, voting, active government participation, etc., as well as the 4 Populus departments, whose duties and functions shall be memorized in detail to ensure continued simplistic operation of the individualistic society. It does not teach these things in a matter-of-fact manner, but gives the reason why these things are implemented. It therefore speaks deeply on types of corruption, from usury to tyranny, that can afflict a just nation. The entire Constitution, amendments, Bill of Rights, along with the detailed working of the economic and law system, shall likewise be memorized by every student to make it impossible for corruption, ignorance, and dependence to grow uncaught in the individualistic society, thus ensuring that it will not revert back into the inadequacy and chaos of the old system with its countless departments of inept citizenry. The 13th grade will be focused primarily upon ensuring each student's preparation to be a self-sustaining, contributing member of society with a firm understanding of civilization's workings. From the findings of raw materials and the extractions thereof, to fabrication, economics, self-sustenance, renewable energies, to understanding the reason that humans exist in such societies in the first place. There shall be numerous hands-on projects, raising food and shelter from the earth, building wind and water turbines, various solar collectors, electric motors and generators, etc., to understand in detail the principles and methods of energy efficiency. This grade thus teaches aspects of real life, unlike modern schools whose students are left dumb to some of the most important areas of life and are primed to depend on another. From real and practical economics to basic moral and social conduct, this grade makes all citizens wise, understanding members of the community able to uphold such an advanced system of social living. The need suppliers have purposely allowed the schools to become shameful jokes of useless information. To combat this degeneration of the schools, starting pay for all of the teachers shall be the same. Teachers' annual pay raises shall be based upon their student scores and administered Populus tests. These tests shall be drawn up by an elected group of accepted and accredited citizens based out of LAFKI. These tests will be updated each year, and copies of the updates will be sent to all parents to approve and comment thereon before the final test is printed and administered. The students of each class are graded on these tests by an independent Populus panel, far removed from the teacher's access, so that the teacher cannot purposely pass his students to gain a pay raise. Each teacher's merit will thus be clearly exposed with this grading system and evaluated at the end of each school year based on this premise, granting a proportionate raise or demotion thereby. This removes the competitive nature from the student and puts the responsibility and stress of learning onto the teaching adult, leaving the child's mind free from negativity. It is therefore the teacher's responsibility to understand the learning methods of each child and to ensure all children are perfectly prepared for the Populus-issued test, and thus pass. Therefore, if a child fails, it is not because of the child's lack of intellect, see note below, but the teacher's lack of skill and understanding to successfully teach that child. Thus, the greatest teachers will be able to teach any type of child, any level of understanding. As can be seen, the children are not the ones with the learning disabilities. It is the growing number of ignorant adults who have developed teaching disabilities and irresponsibly blame the children. This creates a doubt in the child's mind from an early age that that child is deficient, when in fact it was the adult who truly was. This system will create extraordinary teachers and will expose all incompetence. Note: disadvantaged children are welcome to participate in all Populus systems and will be viewed as wholly equal and therefore expected to achieve the same high standards. Due to the No Child Left Behind action, classrooms of advanced children have become compromised with severely disabled children. This causes strain on the teachers with the implementation of the individualistic salary by grade system. Therefore, severely disadvantaged children's tests will be sent to a separate department for review so that the teacher's salary is not affected by such an anomaly. The panel will ensure that a disadvantaged child may only pass on to the next grade when that grade is duly earned. Furthermore, due to the fact that public education is paid for by tax dollars, no child may stay in school for more than 16 years plus 2 grace years. It is therefore probable that a severely disadvantaged child be held in the second grade for 16 years, being that lowering the standards to accommodate one's disadvantage directly thwarts the doctrine of equality. Lastly, it must be made clear that the individualists erect no laws against private schools or what they may teach. It is simply hoped that they can match the effectiveness of the noble individualistic education methods. Furthermore, any education of the masses can be used for control. The individualistic teachings are thus distinguished by avidly teaching independence and corruption awareness amongst the traditional types of classes to negate the possibility of such control.